Okay, we are recording. Thank you, Chloe, for reminding me to do so. Wonderful. Okay, so today, y'all, we're going to do section 4, x squared equations with no x term. Can everybody see that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
For these, don't you just like move them and then take square roots, or divide them and then take a square root?
You do, but we're going to also do another type. But Chloe's right. Okay, so let's start with a little bit of review. You don't have to copy this down. I just like y'all to text me some answers. Somebody tell me what the answer to this equation is and just chat me the answer. We're starting with some basic review. So chat me the answer. And Logan's got the right one, and Merrick's got the right one, and Chloe's got the right one. If you mean 18, Derek, you got the right one. I think you meant equal instead of plus. Emmanuel, you're good. Okay. Easy peasy, right? One step. All right. Do me a 2-step. And text me the answer. We're building up to something. Okay, Chloe's got it. Merrick's got it.
Dang it.
Emmanuel's got it. Logan's got it. Derek,
Yeah, I meant to put equal.
Yeah, you might want to look at it again, though.
Oh, whoops.
Yep. Okay. Now, let me throw another one out at you. Work that one for me. There's a couple of different ways you could do it. All right, you got it, Chloe. You got it, Derek. Logan, look at it again, sweet pie. You got it, Emmanuel. You got it, Merrick. There you go, Logan. Okay, so question for y'all all, and you can text me the answer. What in these problems makes me have one answer only? Does anybody know? There's something in these 3 problems that make me have only one answer. Does anyone know what it is?
An x without an exponent above 1.
That's it. X to the first power, one answer. X to the first power, one answer. X to the first power, one answer. Okay? Now, last week, y'all may not remember, you had equations like that. Does anybody remember how you solve an equation like that? Looking for a word that starts with an F.
Factor.
You factor it, okay. And then what do you do after you factor it?
Then you solve it like a normal thing.
Does anybody remember what I called it after you factor it? I had an expression I called it. Anybody remember?
Maybe equations.
I think you said, what'd you say, Derek?
Maybe equations.
Maybe equations. So y'all remember x squared minus 6x plus 8 factors x minus 8, x minus 2. And so from here, I get the answer x minus 4 equals 0, so x equals 4. And from here, I get the answer x minus 2 equals 0, so x equals 2. And then you remember we did this bit with them? Correct? Yeah. Okay. So I'm gonna write one of these for y'all to review, and I'd like you to find both answers because this is an x squared, so there's gonna be two answers. So one more review one before we do the new stuff. These are harder to make up in my head. Factor that and give me two answers. Okay, Derek, you factored it. Now give me the answers.
Correct, yeah.
Brackety things.
Oh, yeah, let's use.
So factor it, two parentheses, and then you're going to have two little baby equations and solve the baby equations. Two numbers that multiply to give you 9 and subtract to give you 8. Derek, you are good. Clo, you are good. Emmanuel, you better maybe look at your math again. All right, Logan, throw it at me. You're halfway right. Okay. Emmanuel, your numbers are right, your signs are wrong. Logan, the 9 is good. It's your other one that's bad. That last one you texted, Emmanuel, is right. Okay. Merrick, you got it yet?
I'm working.
That last one, Logan, is right. All right, we obviously need to review a little bit because some of us are all over the place. All right, let's help Merrick out. What are two numbers that multiply to give me 9, but when you subtract, you get 8?
1 and 9.
9 and 1.
9 and 1. Now I need to get a -8. So how do I put the signs on it to get a -8?
Positive 1, negative 9.
Yepperdoodle, Mr. Derek. Merrick, you good so far?
I just been thinking of numbers that did the 9 and 8 thing. I kept on thinking 3 and 3, but I knew that was wrong.
Yeah. There was another pair. All right.
It's a simple one.
So, guys, when you've got x plus 1 equals 0, you move the 1 to the other side. X equals -1. And x minus 9 equals 0. You move the 9 to the other side, and x equals 9. You good?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, let's look at today's lesson. I want you to look at this problem 202 here. Trying to get it as big as I can get it. Look at problem 202 and look at the last example that we just did, which was right here. Look at this one and look at this one, and somebody tell me what's the difference. Look at this one.
Variables an n instead of an x.
Well, yeah, besides that. This could be an n. This one could be an x. What's the difference between this one and this one?
The one on the 202 has an x squared, but no like singular
That's
exponent
it.
1x.
That's it. Did you hear what Chloe said? This one had an x squared, but look at right here what it says, x squared with no x term, okay? Now these come in a couple of different, well, and Emmanuel said it doesn't equal 0, and that's true too, okay? So it doesn't, this one doesn't equal 0, and it doesn't have a singular term. Let me use the correct mathematical word for that. Chloe said singular term. I knew exactly what she meant. The real term is linear. it doesn't have a linear term. Linear is x to the first. So when you look at these all down through here, look at 202 to 211. Do you see that none of them have a singular, as Chloe called it, or as I call it, a linear term? Okay. If they don't have a linear term, we're going to do them slightly different. Okay. Chloe said it a minute ago, if you heard her, if it doesn't have a linear term, you can get the n squared by itself. Okay, so let's work 202. If it doesn't have a linear term, you can get the n squared by itself. Okay. I'm trying to get this so I can see all of y'all, but y'all can see my paper too. Okay, there we go. All right. So what would I have to do to get the n squared by itself in problem 202?
You move the 8 over, so it's n squared equals 81, and then you take the square root of 81, which is 9.
Okay, but n squared, there's got to be two answers. Now, what Chloe said was right. She said you move the 8 over, and then you take the square root. But anytime you take a square root, there's always a positive and a minus square root. What's the square root of 81?
-9 and +9.
It's -9 and +9. So the answer to this problem is -9 and +9. If you just give me +9, I count it wrong because there's two answers. Okay, now let's check them by plugging them back in. 9 squared is 81. 81 minus 8 is 73. That works. -9 squared is 81. Take away 8 is 73. That works. Okay. Now, let me caution you. Your answer is not always going to be plus or minus of the same number. It's not always going to be that. Sometimes they're going to be different numbers. We're going to have some more examples like that. Is everybody good with 202?
Yeah.
If you understand 202, raise your hand on the thing so I can see. Or okay. Chloe raised her hand. Let's see who else it says. Oh, Chloe raised her hand. Merrick raised his hand. Derek raised his hand. Logan, you with me, booger? Okay, halfway. Is that what that means? Okay, we'll do more examples. Emmanuel, do you get it? Emmanuel, do you get it or no? Okay, let's do another one. Let's do 203. We're probably going to work all these together, and then your assignment, some different problems. 203. Is there a plain old b to the first power?
No, so you have to take a positive and a negative square root, which is
Yep.
+3 and -3.
Yep. Plus or minus the square root of 9, and the square root of 9 is 3. So the answer to this problem is +3 and -3. We good? Logan, does that make a little more sense? Okay. Derek says it makes sense. And Emmanuel says it makes sense. Okay. Let's do another one. Because some of these we're going to have imaginary answers, and we got to get to the ones where we're going to have imaginary answers. Okay. So look with me at problem 204. Is the squared thing by itself?
Yes.
Yes.
Kind of.
No. You have to divide it by 25, if I'm not mistaken.
You've got to divide it by 25. Y'all with me?
Mhm.
You want the squared thing totally by itself. Does everyone see that?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Once the squared thing is by itself, we take the square root of the left and we take the square root of the right, but we remember to put in a plus or a minus. Now, y'all, what's the square root of n squared? Y'all should know that.
And
N.
And
Now we got to do the square root of 4 25ths.
2/5.
Yep, the square root of 4 is 2. The square root of 5 is 5. So my answer to this problem is positive 2/5, negative 2/5. Good.
yep.
Okay. On your own, I would like you to do for me 206 and text me an answer. Everybody do 206 on your own and text me an answer. I'm deliberately skipping 205. We're doing 206. Do me 206.
Ah,
And then text me an answer. Okay. Give me an answer and text me an answer. Emmanuel, do you mean on that first one, instead of a decimal, do you mean a divide? Yeah, that's fine. Derek, yours looks good. Logan, are you doing 206? Look at it again. Chloe, look at yours again. Merrick, what you got is right, except when you give them to me on a test, I don't want you to write them that way. You got to write them both out.
Oh, I just did that way so it's short on
Yeah,
computer.
that's fine. That's fine.
Oh.
Logan,
Okay.
you figured out that you were doing another problem instead of 206. Chloe, did you find your mistake?
Yeah.
That's a better answer. All right, we're giving Emmanuel, or not Emmanuel. I've already told Emmanuel his is right. We'll give Logan a few more seconds. And then after the one we're going to do next, y'all, after I check Logan's, is 205. So if y'all want to start on 205, that's the one we're going to do next after we get Logan's worked out here on 206. Logan, I don't want a decimal, baby. You cannot use your calculator for these. You have to do it by hand. I do not want a decimal. I want a fraction.
Hush.
Okay, there we go. All right, 205 is what we're going to do next. Y'all, I do not want a decimal answer. I want my answer to have an exact square root. Anybody have any ideas on how you do 205?
The square root of 14 doesn't break down, so do you just leave it as the square root, positive and negative square root of 14?
cool.
Absolutely you do, Chloe. So you move the 2 over, and I get r squared equals 14. Then you take the square root of both sides, and you put plus or minus, in front of the 14. And Chloe said 14 doesn't break down. So my two answers are the positive square root of 14 and the negative square root of 14. I do not want a decimal. So don't punch it on your calculator and figure out what decimal square root of 14 is. Are you good? Okay. Now, y'all look with me at 207 and tell me, look at 207 and look at 205 and tell me what the difference is.
Negative.
Yeah.
When you move the 7 over on 207, you get a negative number. What kind of answers am I going to have when I have r squared equals a negative number? What kind of answers am I
Imaginary.
going to have? Imaginary answers. So I take the square root of both sides. I put plus or minus in front of it. Okay, now y'all really pay attention to 207 because it's super important. Let me make sure everybody's with me. Okay, show of hands, did everybody understand how I went from here to here? Okay, Derek saw that. Logan, Emmanuel, Merrick, did you see how I went from here to here?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Then I took the square root of both sides. Okay, square root of r squared is r. The square root of negative 20 is the square root of negative 20. Then I break this down. This was what was on the quiz that y'all took yesterday. So negative 20 is negative 1 times 2 times 10, and 10 is 2 times 5. So what can I pull out?
2i.
It's 2i on the square root of 5.
And an I. So 2i on the square root of 5, and there's a plus or minus in front of it. So here's how I'm going to write my answers. 2i on the square root of 5, negative 2i on the square root of 5. You good?
Mm-hmm.
Emmanuel and Logan, is that good? Okay, I see Derek's hand. I'm going to turn me off. I don't like to see me. Hide self view. There we go. Emmanuel says he's got it. Logan, did you see this? Okay, very good. All right. So on your own, please do for me 208. Oh, okay, Logan, what are you confused about, baby? No, I don't want to keep rolling. If you're confused, tell me what you're confused about. Like all of it, okay. Everybody else, besides Logan, everybody do 208 and text it to me. Turn the audio off for a minute so you don't hear me because I'm going to talk, unless you need to hear. I'm going to talk Logan through 208. The rest of you work without listening to me and then text me an answer. All right, Mr. Logan. What is keeping the square from being by itself? Okay, how do you get rid of it? How do you get rid of that 6? Okay. What's negative 48 divided by 6? Okay, Chloe, you are correct. Okay, all right. So Logan, are you good with me that far? Okay. I want to know what n is, not n squared. The object is to know what n is. Derek, that's right. The object is to know what n is, not what, yep. So square root this side, square root that side. The square root of n squared is n. When you take a square root of a number, there's always a positive square root and a negative square root. Are you good with that so far? Emmanuel, you better look at it again. Merrick, that's good. All right, so here's where I'm at, Logan. Are you good to hear? Okay, factor tree that for me. So tell me what goes into negative. Okay, so Emmanuel, start listening now. Oh, you heard me. Okay. All right. So, yeah, Logan, but I want to break it completely down as far as I can go. So, Logan said -1 times 8. Okay. What goes into 8, Logan? 4 and 2. All right. So, I'm going to write the 2. And what goes into 4? 2 and 2. So -8 is -1 times 2 times 2 times 2. Emmanuel, it is, except there's 2 of them. Okay, so Logan, I circle up things that have a pair. I have a pair of 2s, and I circle up the -1 because it's always an I. Okay, so I pull out a 2, and I pull out an I, and then what's not circled? Okay, so my 2 answers, so Emmanuel, it's 2i on the square root of 2 and -2i on the square root of 2. You see that? There's always 2 of. Yeah, you wrote it there for me. Okay, Logan, does that make sense? A little more? A little more sense? Okay, let's do another one. All right, I think everybody got this 208. Just so I know you're good, I'd like you guys to do for me 209 and text me an answer. Everybody try 209, and then we're going to look at the ones that aren't on this page that are on your homework. So everybody do for me 209. It's exactly the same as 208. So do for me 209 and then text me an answer. It's exactly the same as the last one, the exact same steps. Derek, you're right on that problem. Emmanuel, you might need to look at your factoring again. Okay, Chloe, you can't leave it the way you texted it to me. There's something else you got to do to it. Okay. All right, Derek. Okay. You're not, Logan, you're not all the way there. Zonell, are you with me?
Yes, ma'am, I'm right here.
All right. We have done, I'm recording it, so I'll upload it so you can go back and see what we've done up until this point. We're on problem 209 in the packet. All right. I'm going to help y'all out because a couple of you are struggling. To get the x squared by itself, I divide both sides by 7. 7 goes into -98, -14 times. Is everybody good to that point?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Take the square root of the left, take the square root of the right. But when I take the square root of the number, I know there's a plus and a minus. Are y'all with me so far?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, I factor -14. It's -1 times 2 times 7. What's the only thing that can come out?
The -1.
The -1 is the only thing that can come out because there's not a pair. The -1 comes out as, yep, Derek's already answered it. The -1 comes out as an I. So plus or minus I. This 2 and this 7 can't come out, so I multiply them back together and they stay 14. So my answer to this problem is I on the square root of 14, negative I on the square root of 14.
Okay.
Chloe, you had it right, except you still had your negative under the square root, and I can't leave it there.
Yeah.
Okay, Logan, do you
Okay.
think yours had to be under the square root? Logan. Well, you told me 14 and -14. Oh, good, Emmanuel. Logan, you told me 14 and -14, but that 14's under a square root because you got a square root the left, you got a square root the right. So the 14 is under a square root, so that oh, Logan. Okay. So you write, oh, how would you do it on the keyboard? You write square root, SQRT, or square root. Okay. Zonell, did you see how I did this problem? Zonell? Zonell? Where'd he go? Zonell? Zonell? Probably to eat, use the bathroom, or get a. Oh, y'all, we're all slap happy today. Okay. Derek said that Zonell had probably was either getting something to eat, using the bathroom, or getting a jacket. So I don't know. Where do you think he is, Chloe? Is that why your hand is raised? Okay.
No. Oh, I just never lowered it from
Okay.
earlier.
All right. Let's do another problem. Let's do. Oh, Logan said his Zoom just crashed. Oh, y'all. Gotta love technology. Let me tell Logan to try again. Maybe he's on. Okay. Oh, Logan's back. Good deal. All right, let's do another problem. Let's do one that's like on your homework, but not on this paper. Okay. I'm not worried about 210 and 2. Huh? All right. So guys, on your notebook paper, you're going to have to copy these. Okay. Your homework assignment tonight will have some like these. They're just not on the packet. So will you copy this one down for me, please? You will have some like this for homework, but there's not any like this in the packet. Okay. Now, when you look at the left-hand side, if I covered it up with my finger, this would say something squared equals 100. How would you do that if you didn't know what was under my finger? Somebody?
You would square root 10.
Square root both sides. So take the square root of this side and take the square root of this side. But when you take the square root of 100, you must write plus or minus 10. There's 2 of them. If you only write 1, you're not going to get the problem right. Okay. Now, guys, on the left, when you take the square root of x minus 8 squared, what do you get?
X minus 8.
Yes. So This is one where your answer is plus or minus 10. Okay, you're going to write two baby equations. X minus 8 equals positive 10. X minus 8 equals negative 10. Solve those. You will not get plus or minus of the same answer. So solve those two for me. Tell me what you get here and what you get here, and it will not be the same answer, positive and negative. All right, Derek gave me a correct answer. Emmanuel gave me a correct answer. Chloe gave me a correct answer. Merritt gave me a correct answer. Excuse me.
I can't take you out right now. Can you wait?
Zonell, check your sign on the second one. Logan, you with me? Trying to do the problem or trying to get the Zoom to cooperate?
Hey, Mom.
All right, that's Donnell, that's right for the second one. It keeps closing out like your window does. I don't know why, Logan. I don't know what you got going on. All right. Was everybody good with this one? Yeah, I understand that too, Logan. All right, let's do another one while Logan's trying to get himself situated. And Logan, I'm recording this whole Zoom, so if you need to go back and watch the things you can't see, I'm gonna upload it to YouTube. No, they don't have a square root. Logan, they don't have a square root. You've already taken the square root out. The square root of 100 is 10, and you've taken the square root out. So these are just numbers. All right. Another example. Cover up the squared thing. What's keeping the squared thing from being by itself?
The
2 and
so
the-
you have to divide 18 by 2 and you get
Okay, let's take it one step at a time, Chloe, so that I don't lose people. So Chloe said divide both sides by 2. Okay, are y'all with me there? Now I'm trying to release this from the square. What do I have to do to release this from the square?
You take the square root of it. So it's x plus 3 equals the positive and negative 3.
Okay, when you take the square root of a number, you got to have a positive and negative. So the square root of 9 works out, plus or minus 3. And Chloe said when you take the square root of this side, you just get x plus 3. Y'all with me? Write me two baby equations. X plus 3 equals positive 3. X plus 3 equals negative 3. And solve both of those. Derek's got it, Emmanuel's got it. Chloe's got it. Zonell, you better look at yours again. You never took the square root of 9 in those answers that you gave me. You just put 9. Is this Saray says, I'm right in the middle of Zoom in Algebra 2. Uh-huh. Oh, crap. No, I didn't realize it had all the answers. I posted the answer key instead of the, I'll take care of it. Thank you for being honest and letting me know. I'll work on it when I get through with Zooming. Thanks. Bye. Well, that's grand. I posted the answer key instead of the problem sheet. Jeez Louise. Okay. Zonell, that fixes it. Logan, one of the answers is 0, but both of them aren't 0. Logan, you got two baby equations, x plus 3 equals 3 and x plus 3 equals negative 3. You subtract 3 from both sides. And I get x equals 0 from this first one. And negative 3 plus negative 3 is negative 6 for the second one. Do you see that, Mr. Logan? Okay. All right, y'all, I've got another example I want to do. I actually got 2 more examples, and then I'll tell you what your homework is. All right, so again, this example is not on your paper. This example's one like what you're going to see on your homework. All right, what do I do first?
Divide by 3.
Divide everything by 3. Guys, when you see something squared, there's not just an X piece running around somewhere, then you know that ultimately you're going to do a square root to each side. But Derek says to do that first, I got to divide by 3. Does everybody see that?
Mm-hmm.
Now what?
Yes. You take the square root. So it would be 3i.
The square root of right, and I put a plus or minus in front of the right. Okay. The square root of x plus 3 squared is x plus 3. The square root of negative 9, that's negative 1 times 3 times 3. That's 3i. Okay. So now tell me what my baby, here's where some of you are going to screw up if you're not paying attention. Somebody tell me what my baby equations look like. I'm not asking you to solve them. Somebody say to me out loud what my 2 baby equations are.
X plus 3
X
equals negative
plus 3
3i.
equals 3i, and x plus 3 equals negative 3i.
Okay, do you see that, y'all? 2 baby equations. X plus 3 equals positive 3i. X plus 3 equals negative 3i. Now here's where people screw up. Subtract 3 from this side, subtract 3 from this side, subtract 3 from this side, subtract 3 from that side. On the left, the 3 and the negative 3 cancel. On the right, are those like terms?
Nope.
No, they are not. So this is how you write your answer. On the left, the 3 and the negative 3 cancel. On the right, they are not right. They are not like terms. So that's how you write your answer. You can't add those 2 together and get a 6 because that one doesn't have an I and that one does. You can't add them together and get a 0 because that one doesn't have an I and that one does. Any questions about that? Okay, I would like you now to do one entirely on your own. Do that for me entirely on your own. It looks just like the one we just did, and then text me an answer. let me see. Wait a minute. My answers are scrolling by too fast. So let me scroll back up and see if, okay. All right, Derek, when you do that, remember that the real part goes in front of the imaginary part.
Oh, right. Sorry, I forgot to put that again.
Logan, that's fine. Reboot your computer if you need to. All right, Zonell, let me see yours. Oh, Zonell, you got sign errors. You're making the wrong thing plus or minus.
I have no idea what I'm doing.
Okay, then I'll explain again. But this one's just like this example. Were you following when I did this example?
Yes, ma'am, but
Okay.
I know the basic concepts. I just don't get all the signs and the transfers and stuff.
Okay. Merrick, yours looks right. Emmanuel, you got one of the two answers. All right, Zonell, let's do it again. I'm trying to get the squared thing by itself. Zonell, this is the squared thing.
Yeah, so you divide both sides by 2.
Yep. And so now I have
That'd be facing.
this. Okay. You with me so far?
And then you would square both sides, so that would just be 4x because it's already in the
Square root
that
both
situation. But then because it's a negative, you just you would put it as 4i.
Yep, because the square root of 16 is 4 and the negative makes it an I. So it's plus or minus 4i because you always have two square roots, a positive square root and a negative square root. So Zonell, I have this. You with me? Okay. Write me two baby equations. X plus 4 equals positive 4i. X plus 4 equals negative 4i. Okay.
I know what I did wrong.
And then subtract 4, and it goes in front of the imaginary part. So negative 4 plus 4i, negative 4 minus 4i.
I changed the sign of the wrong thing whenever I was doing the
Yeah, you
thingy.
did. That's what I was trying to get you to see. It's the thing over here, it's the number that's a plus or minus. You good?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you guys' assignment is on CUDA, and it is called, let me tell you what it's called so you can, when you look at it, you can see it. It is called Solving Quadratic Equations by Taking Square Roots. Okay. I made it due tomorrow night. So you've got today and tomorrow, but you will have an extra little assignment tomorrow. So you do have to get back on LMS tomorrow, okay? But the CUDA is not due until tomorrow night. Does that make sense to everybody?
Yep.
Yeah.
It's already uploaded now. It's due tomorrow night. Today's Tuesday. It's due Wednesday, but you have an additional small assignment tomorrow on LMS.
Yep.
Okay, so I'm going to stop the share. I am going to upload this recording to YouTube after it gets done processing. Logan is completely gone. All right, I'm going to have to save it for him. Emmanuel, I'll give you a holler later on this afternoon about what you emailed me about. I just hadn't had a chance to look at it. Okie doke. Anybody got any questions for me before I end this meeting?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, sir. What's your question?
I know that you upload and everything, but could you just give me a really quick example of like 204 so that I don't have to rewatch the whole video? Thank you.
Yep, I can. If everybody else is done, y'all can cut a trail, and I'm going to do 204 for Zonell. Okay. Let me take I'm going to take the screen back here, Zonell, so you can see it.
Alrighty.
Okay, 204.
Wait, did you say we could go?
Yeah, I said you could go.
Okay.
Unless you just need to ask me for help or anything. I'm
Okay.
okay. I'm doing one for Zonell because he came in late.
Okay.
All right. Bye, Merrick. All right, Zonell, I'm trying to get, and Emmanuel, I'll call you about after I get off work. Will that work? Probably about, I'll call your dad about 4 o'clock. Is that good? If that's good, just raise your hand. I've already turned off chat. Okay, good deal. Thanks, Emmanuel. Talk at you later. All right, Zonell, I want n squared by itself. So I divide by 25 and I divide by 25. You good so far?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, those cancel. So n squared equals 4 over 25. To get rid of n squared, I take the square root of this side. When I take the square root of the number, I put a plus or minus in front of it.
Yeah.
The square root of n squared is n.
N equals 2 over 5.
Yes, plus or minus 2 over 5. So
Okay.
my two answers are positive 2/5 and negative 2/5.
So I'm always going to have 2 answers for these, correct?
Yes, always. So real quick, let's do 207.
$207?
Yep.
All right. You would first get rid of the 7, so that'd be negative 20.
Okay.
Then you would square, well,
Square
whatever that
square
part is
root.
called.
Yeah.
Square root both sides, so that would leave r equals positive or negative
Okay.
20.
Now we
It's obviously going to be I, but what would
so
that square out to be?
-1 and 20 is 2 times 10, and 10 is 2 times 5. See what I just did?
Mhm.
Okay. I can pull out a 2, and I can pull out an I.
Or do you just always pull out the I?
Always, if there's a negative, you pull out an I. So my two answers are 2i on the square root of 5, negative 2i on the square root of 5.
Okay, I think I got it.
Okay, doke. If you have any other,
What does the homework range from? What problems?
it's like 202 to 211 and the extra examples that I did.
Okay. So 202 through which problems?
Well, honey, it's on CUDA. So it's
On CUDA?
called, on CUDA, it's called solving quadratic equations by taking square roots.
Okay.
It's up right now.
All right.
Good deal?
Yes, ma'am. Thanks, Ms. Woods.
You're welcome, sweetheart. I'll talk at you later.
See you.
Bye.
Sorry for showing up late. I was at a doctor's appointment, by the way.
Sarisa told me.
All
It's
right.
all
Thank
good.
you.